Hello, I'm student meteorologist Chandler Pruitt with FSU Weather to give you your overview. You can look live outside of Doak Campbell, see sunshine, beautiful blue skies, absolutely gorgeous springtime conditions. Currently 77 with winds coming out of the southwest at 22 miles per hour. And taking a look at the current outlook, you can see that we have 77 as our temperature in Tallahassee and 70s across most of the Big Bend region, so quite enjoyable conditions. Looking at that Tallahassee radar, again, pretty clear skies and enjoyable conditions across the area. Looking across most of Florida, you can see that these showers are making their way off the coast, so we're finally getting rid of this severe weather outlook that we've seen for the past 24 hours. But for tonight, we'll talk about that severe risk dropping, as well as the cool down for the weekend and a recap of yesterday's severe outbreak. All that and more on FSU Weather, which starts now.
Quite a nice and sunny day, a big contrast from the severe weather we saw in Alabama and in North Carolina right now. I am student meteorologist Robert Zott.
And I'm student meteorologist Riley Winch. And yes, Robert, we saw that line of storms move in early this morning, and that really helps cool conditions down. We had, conditions really dry out, and we really did see the opportunity to warm up because those line of storms did come earlier in the day, so we did still reach 80 degrees today.
Right, exactly. We were watching this morning a few tornado warnings for our neighbors out west in Panama City. We're going to see if anything came from those. Nothing here for us in Tallahassee, so all we've really seen is just a little bit of a wetter and nicer day for us as this sort of system has cleared out. But we're watching right now a little bit of a severe threat in North Carolina, and we'll continue to look at what we saw from Alabama last night.
Luckily, today is our last day seeing severe weather, at least for a little while, as the system does move out of our area, and that is going to clear conditions out. It's going to cool conditions down for much of the country as well, and we'll see that a little bit later in our show.
Right, exactly. We're going to be looking at the Northeast, actually. We're going to see how cool you guys will get all the way up in Boston and across the entire Washington corridor. So we're going to see how nice these conditions will get after sort of the calm before the storm. So all this next on FSU Weather.
Yep, and we're going to head to the wall with Becca right now for our first local forecast of the evening.
Thank you, Riley. We've got an excellent end of the day here. You'll see what we've got going on right now is very different than what we had this morning. We woke up to a cloudy morning that turned out into storms, but gave way to a beautiful afternoon. Currently 77 degrees, sunny, some pretty high winds, 22 miles per hour. For our temperature almanac, you'll see that today our high was 82, pretty high above the average, not too far from that record. Low 66, pretty far off the record for the low of 28, which I am very happy about. Current local temps, we've got high 70s across the board. So we've got 78 Thomasville, and the lowest is going to be down in Apalachicola with 71 rounding us out, colder on the coast. But across the middle of the state, we've got about high 70s rounding us out. For the dew points, those are going to be very comfortable right now. Not too high, not too low, very comfortable. For us, it's going to be 44 in Tallahassee, making it a perfect day. I definitely felt very comfortable going outside. Lower for this time, but of course the weather just went through lowering those dew points. A little bit warmer down by the coast in St. Mark's and Apalachicola, but nothing that's going to make it too muggy. Still very, very comfortable. For the Tallahassee radar, not much on the radar. You're seeing the remains of that weather that we had passing through earlier, just off to the other side of the state, moving through. But for us, it is obviously cleared up, and there's no more weather coming for a while now, which is very nice. We've got some clear skies. For the future radar, again, we have clear skies coming. So you might see a little bit of cloud pushing through, but overall, clear skies as we move into tomorrow. For tonight's lows, we're looking about 40s and 50s. So low 50s, high 40s, making it a very nice night. Perfect to sleep with the windows open. Of course, that is unless you have allergies. The pollen count has been fairly high lately. I know I've been struggling with that, but it will be a nice, cooler night. For tomorrow's highs, we're looking at the mid-60s. So for us, it's going to be 66, and 66 seems to be the hot number. We've got that in Perry and Madison, and then we're stretching a little bit cooler than that across the rest of the state. So 63 Bainbridge, 63 Thomasville. For tonight in Tally, we're looking at 46 degrees, very clear, winds 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow's forecast, we're looking at 66 degrees, which another nice day, mostly sunny. The week ahead, this weather that we just experienced today is giving way to some very clear skies. So you'll see for the weekend, we have about a nice high of mid-60s, so 66, and that's slowly going to be warming us up as we come throughout the rest of the week, getting up into the high 70s before we get into the 80s again, cooling down after with some storms as we come around. Now I'm going to hand things off to Chandler, who's going to talk to us about what's going on in Florida right now.
That is right. Let's talk about Florida. We can currently look at that radar. Well, we see that, well, we have very nice, beautiful conditions across the Panhandle. We had some rain that swept through following a cold front that is currently making its way out of the rest of the state. So we're all looking at pretty wonderful conditions, especially in the Panhandle. You can see currently we have 68 degrees and sunny with the winds coming out of the southwest at 20 miles per hour. Again, beautiful sun and blue skies as well. And we look at the North Florida radar. We can see that these storms are starting to finally make their way out. They are still slightly strong, causing some lightning and heavy rain. So of course, if you live in Jacksonville or any of the regions across Gainesville and parts of Central Florida, you will need to take and keep an eye out for potentially a little bit of strong rain and storms. You see that those storms are making their way towards Tampa right now. So again, stay weather aware in that regard. We look at Gainesville. Well, cloudy skies again following that rain, 74 degrees with winds coming out of the southwest at 17 miles per hour. Looking at that radar in South Florida, however, we're pretty clear right now. We'll see that that cold front does make its way closer to Miami, but right now sitting at pretty beautiful conditions. See that it's partly cloudy with 81 as the current temperature and winds coming out of the south at 15 miles per hour. And looking at those current temperatures, again, they're ranging. We have 70s in the North Florida region and then 80s in the South Florida region because that cold front hasn't made it there yet. We're looking at those dew points. We're drier up in North Florida, like Becca said. However, once we get down into South Florida, we have way higher dew points. Over the next 24 hours, we can see that cool down that starts to happen. You can see that cold front that makes its way through the state and finally exiting by tomorrow morning. And then looking at tonight, we can see that those lows will get down into the 40s for the Panhandle, as well as 50s in North Florida, and then we'll get down into the 60s in South Florida. And then for tomorrow, again, we'll get up into those 70s and those 60s for across the state. And, well, hold on. We'll go now to...
Yeah, let's jump right into it. No need to show me. We can show the radar right away and get what's going on. So currently, our red polygons here, that's going to indicate our tornado warning. So definitely watch out from rotation. Looks like you're north just of I-85 going up. Looks like you might have a tornado coming through. And additionally, looks like we have some severe thunderstorm warnings outlined in the yellow polygon. And then also coming into West Virginia, looks like we have a severe thunderstorm warning going on. So a lot going on in the Mid-Atlantic. We're actually going to take a zoom in on these cells. So over looking into this cell, you can really see the pink core. So some of these pink cores are going to produce some hail that's about the size of a quarter. So definitely something to keep in mind of. They can even get larger, but right now, probably looking at that size of hail, some heavy rain towards South Williston as well. And today, the threat is not over, especially when you're watching southern North Carolina into northern North Carolina and southern Virginia. We have a enhanced risk right now for severe weather, so definitely a 3 out of 5 chance of seeing severe weather. And a little bit lower up in Richmond, Virginia, still a 2 out of 5 scale. Obviously, we have tornado warnings and multiple severe weather warnings going on. Some large hail, strong winds, even a brief tornado are not ruled out. And today also over Charleston, West Virginia, into southern Ohio. This is the upper level low, so we have a little bit more lift here. And there's also some severe weather potential as well. So the Carolinas, where the threat seems just to be a little bit higher at this point, there's a tornado warning north of Raleigh right now. And not severe, but we had a large storm really come over Charleston. You can see those pink colors, maybe indicative of some hail and some very heavy rain. Looks like the worst weather has been done for Charleston, South Carolina. And then really zooming in to Raleigh, we want to focus on this tornado warning. Like I said, north of I-285 into 85. If you're watching us, we're really zooming in now. You can kind of see this broad rotation, if anything. I'm watching out first in Roxborough and Mount Terza. Looks like there's a dangerous storm heading. Take shelter, head to your lowest lying room inside with no windows. Maybe put a helmet on. That's what we want to do here. And then also, too, keep in mind, if you're traveling on I-73, we have a pretty strong thunderstorm heading towards, eventually, all these storms will be progressing towards Raleigh. So if you're watching us there, keep an umbrella and keep an eye out with FSU weather in your local news station, because conditions could downhill with some severe weather. So that's where we have our majority of our enhanced risk right over Raleigh, Durham, Fayetteville, Charlotte. Please keep aware. The threat will continue through tonight, and you want to bring weather radio with you because conditions can get dangerous. Today's afternoon, we really didn't have too many warnings, and as soon as 4 o'clock hit that diurnal maximum, we had all that heating, and we started getting twisters rotating up. So definitely keep an eye out. I had a friend in Charlotte who actually saw a potential wall cloud today, so just please be weather wary. And also, if you're watching us in North Florida, don't let your wrist down too. You have a slight risk for over you guys. And if you're watching us in Tampa, I'm not saying it's tornadic, but it's going to be a very, very heavy rainfall event over, let's say you're going over the Skyway Bridge. If you're traveling over the Dale Mabry, just keep in mind your traffic is going to be a little bit slower. And then also of note, we did have a strong storm that came over Jacksonville, and that is now cleared through the area. Jacksonville should be fine, but it's along the I-4 corridor from Orlando to Tampa, and Tampa especially in the next 30 minutes, where you're going to expect to see your strongest storms. Like I said, that storm did come through Jacksonville. Looks like we got another one forming up on the wings of it too, maybe interacting with an outflow boundary that's going to help cause some more lifting convergence. So Jacksonville, some soggy times, but at least it's not severe. And then Tampa, just do keep an eye out. Some very, very heavy rain, especially for St. Petersburg. If you're on the beach right now, thunderwarts, head indoors. It can be very dangerous. Like I said, Florida only has a slight risk right now as it kind of sacks to the south with the frontal boundary. But nonetheless, it is still a slight risk, and you don't want to keep that for granted. As we progress through the evening, you can see why Virginia has a severe thunderstorm potential. Definitely some rain associated with a upper level low as it kind of dips down, maybe some hail too enhanced with some of that cooler air aloft. And looking over to the Carolinas, I really want to take an eye at this couple of cells over between Raleigh and Durham, just east of the area. Looks like it might become pretty strong to severe, as that line west of Raleigh already has become severe. And for the rest of Florida, some strong storms forming along the I-4 corridor in Tampa. So do keep an eye out for any potential tornadic areas. But overall, the severe weather will clear out by this evening. And now we're going to bring it off to the desk with Robert and Rebecca.
Right, thank you. We are now covering the severe threat that came through Alabama last night. Of course, as Hayden was mentioning, there is one in North Carolina right now, but we are still recovering from the one in Alabama. So we're looking at our statistics. We had almost 21 tornadoes so far confirmed in Alabama with the high risk last night.
That is also what I saw, and some of those are probably going to come out to be some pretty significant tornadoes. Lots of damage. I do not believe there were any deaths reported, which is good. However, I have seen severe damage from these tornadoes. Lots of ruined houses, buildings, trees down, power lines. So while thankfully there was no deaths, there's still a lot of damage and a lot of recovery that's going to have to go into these areas.
Right, exactly. There were some stunning images actually posted on Twitter last night by some weather personalities. There was one of actually a boat that was wrapped around a pole by that Selma tornado in Dallas County. And the Weather Channel actually put their drone up by a tornado and took some pictures of the Tuscaloosa tornado. Both of those look like they will be particularly powerful tornadoes and probably some lasting memories from last night, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And if a boat wrapped around a pole does not give you an idea of how strong these winds and how serious these storms are, I'm not entirely sure what will. And that is why it is so important that you are keeping updated on this, as this storm system that caused so much damage in Alabama and Mississippi over the last about 24 hours is progressing through the Carolinas right now.
Right, this is the same system. It's associated with the same sort of low coming into there, and this has been just particularly potent conditions in Alabama that led to the historic high risk, the first since 2019, and it's leading into North Carolina right now with an enhanced risk. So of course, here on FSU Weather, we will continue to watch out for you guys. Make sure you stay tuned, have a no weather radio always at hand just to warn you of any tornado warnings that may come through your area. So we will always stay tuned, make sure you stay on social media, but now we'll pass things off back to the wall to look at the National with Riley.
Thank you, guys. And looking here at our national radar, we do see that storm system you guys have been talking about that is really producing a lot of that severe weather. Currently, that low pressure is situated over the coast of the Carolinas. And just look at the swirl with this system. You can really tell just how strong it is just by looking at it. meaning lots of rainfall for even portions of the northeast, even though not severe there. The severe storms are occurring a little bit more on the southeast side of the storm. And if we see over here, we have that next low pressure system that will be causing trouble for us. But we're still dealing with this low pressure system moving off the east coast right now. Some nasty storms moving into the Tampa area right now associated with this, not the snow squall, the squall of storms that moved through the Tallahassee and Panhandle region earlier this morning. Kind of breaking apart in northern portions of Florida, but still, as I said, a nasty storm about to move right into Tampa right now. Getting back to where we are currently seeing some severe alerts right now, we do have a tornado watch still in effect for at least a couple hours here in portions of North Carolina into extreme southeastern portions of Virginia. And this is pretty much close to about the last of the real severe stuff we're going to be seeing. And we do have a tornado warning just to the north of Raleigh. Let me just get in here on those counties: Leesburg, Mebane, Roxborough, and Green Level counties. That is what we are seeing in this red shaded area right now. Get to your safe spot. You want to make sure you are away from windows at the lowest level of your floor right now. And heading a little farther north, we do have some severe thunderstorm warnings, including portions of Charleston, West Virginia today. So we're even getting in on the severe weather in portions of West Virginia. And this isn't as severe as what we're seeing farther to the south in North Carolina, but still some nasty storms moving through there. And a little bit farther north than where we're seeing that severe risk, we have a lot of rain moving into portions of the northeast. New York City up to Boston, into Albany, really seeing a very wet day here. And notice how some dry air is eating away at that rain. That is actually a high pressure system that is kind of sinking its way southward, which is really clearing out conditions for places like Buffalo into Toronto, keeping you away from this very wet weather today, which is a good sign. And back out here in portions of Indiana into Illinois, we're seeing some more rain here, even some change over to snow if you head to the east of I-69 and more north of I-70. That's where you're getting in on some snow. Not expecting much accumulation from this, but regardless, you might be seeing some flakes out there. Into the Pacific Northwest, this is where our next low pressure system is moving in, and we're seeing some rain moving into the Seattle and Portland areas today. So a little bit wet maritime rain there for you in the Pacific Northwest. Current snow cover across the country. Finally, back out where I'm from in northern New Jersey, seeing all that snow melting from such a snowy winter we've had so far. And a lot of that snow has melted, but notice where most of it is right now, in the west. Denver, portions of Colorado really just picked up a lot of snow with a pretty significant winter storm that we saw there. So still, winter has not left yet, even if the first day of spring is on our day on Saturday. Currently, we see how conditions have really cooled off, especially in portions of Dixie Alley, where we did see that severe weather moved through the day yesterday. In places like New Orleans, Tallahassee, this cooler air is moving our way after we saw that cold front move through our region earlier today. And our dew points really indicate that. We might be warm in Tallahassee right now, but we dropped about 30 degrees in dew point with that squall of storms moving through this morning. You notice it's a lot drier when you go outside too. Here's that large upper level low moving out. Our next big storm is here to our west, and then future radar is showing we do have quite a bit of rain left until we head into our weekend, and that should clear things out. So for our day tomorrow, we will be pretty cool across the country. Really the only warm spot will be Miami or Phoenix if you like the 80s. And we are now going to hand things off to Hayden for a look at the southeast and some more severe weather.
Yeah, speaking of the 80s, let's head to the southeast. Just kidding. We have a cool front moving through. We actually have some nice conditions right now. Atlanta, a nice cool 59 degrees. Some stratus clouds, Bowling Green, 54 degrees. Not too bad for Kentucky. And in Blacksburg, you can kind of see what we're still doing with that front, 50 degrees. All locations are now dealing with cool conditions and some frontal clouds and even some rain in Gainesville we'll go into. So right now, currently in deep south, we have anywhere temperatures ranging from the upper to lower 50s to around 60. And as we progress eastward and southward, away from our cold front, it's probably situated around this area. We have 80s in Florida and some 70s up into the Carolinas where all that moist air is contributing to that severe weather. And our front can be spotted with our dew point anywhere east of this line, 64 Charleston, 59 for Charlotte. Those dew points are very, very moist, providing that extra threat for severe weather in Florida too. It's that typical Florida air masses come up that southerly flow ahead of our front. And that's contributed to some thunderstorms that Tampa's about to get experienced. And also we have some dry air, 30s, dew points in the 30s, seeking down into our area. Tallahassee, 45, starting to get a taste of what's even drier coming in. Wind speeds, this northwest flow is dropping in some very dry air and also some cooler temperatures that are kind of lagging behind the front. But by this tomorrow morning, Tallahassee will notice some cooler temperatures and southerly flow up ahead, providing severe weather risk into the Carolinas right now. Our radar, of course, we have some severe weather, maybe a tornado warning up into the Carolinas, and we fall down with our cold front, some heavy rain in Tampa, really a lot of lightning. So if you're on the beach, to get off of it, you don't want to be on the beach. You are the highest point and the lightning will be attracted to you. But anyways, if you're on Skyway Bridge, watch out, it's going to be a little heavy. And if you're on I-75 from Ocala to Gainesville, this rain is starting to sag south towards Daytona Beach and Orlando. So you're going to the theme parks, keep an eye for that. We have that tornado warning once again, north of Raleigh, and some severe weather that could be coming into the area. So just keep an eye on Raleigh. If this one doesn't hit you, the next one will. Probably the next 30 minutes, you'll get some strong thunderstorms, and it might become severe warning. Don't be caught off guard. So a slight risk over West Virginia, where we're kind of seeing some thunderstorms associated with the upper level low, and of course an enhanced risk down into North Carolina and Southern Virginia with all that soupy air really fueling to the fire, with Raleigh right now being the biggest threat for severe weather at the line just west of it. And Florida, those dew points in the 60s, more than capable of supporting some strong thunderstorms. But now it looks like our main risk is going to be from Tampa to Orlando with just a marginal, maybe some high gust winds. And Raleigh right now, like I said, that main line is coming right towards you. And you notice all this cape in red, just all this available energy, lots of storms potentially. So through the severe weather, right here for Florida, we have some active thunderstorms along I-4, and we have some backside rain associated with a upper level low as the cool front continues to sag over to our east, but there will be some rain behind the front. Do keep that in mind if you're in Greensboro. So for flooding rains, definitely going to have some strong, up to 0.5 to half an inch of rain in the Virginias, and now we're going to bring it over to Robert to see what he has to say.
Right, we're now actually going to turn things up to the northeast. After looking at our lows right now, you can see a lot of 40s and 60s for most of Florida, but for most of the southeast, very nice conditions here. And then Friday, we're also going to be seeing, again, warm conditions in Miami right now, as is per usual. But most of you guys in the rest of the southeast are going to be looking at 60s and 50s. But the northeast, you guys are going to be a little bit on the cooler side, seeing 41 and 30, about 40s and 30s here, just hovering above freezing for most of you around most of the northeast, seeing maybe a potential chance of rain in Boston and maybe a few flakes mixing in with that as you go north towards Vermont. So a little bit of a different situation than down here in the southeast because you're cold and also very dry. Look at that, 29 Burlington, 30 Buffalo. I know this is a little bit on the wetter side for you guys, but compared to down here, 30 and 29 is extremely dry. And you can see as you go towards New York and Harrisburg, maybe a little bit more moist air, maybe getting you a few showers and storms towards you guys down there, and maybe a little bit closer to the mid-Atlantic region. Looking at wind speeds, you can see fairly nice for most of you guys, 3 in New York and 9 in Boston. It does get a little windier as you go towards the western area of this region. You can see 15 in Buffalo, even 13 in Pittsburgh, really picking up as you go towards Ohio, though, and 9 in Burlington, calm in Portland. So winds are looking fairly nice for all of you right now. National radar seeing a lot of showers and storms, maybe a little bit of snowflakes mixing in as you go towards upstate New York, but this high pressure system, as mentioned earlier, is pushing that sort of not moist air, a little bit of dry air for you guys up there. So sort of making the situation in Buffalo and Toronto a lot drier than we've seen earlier. But in West Virginia and around Pittsburgh, we're seeing a lot of showers and thunderstorms. Some of these may be severe, as you can see down here in this little corner, and that might be bringing some small hail and damaging winds. So make sure you have your alerts on and you're watching these storms because these could be destructive for you guys. Looking at this sort of water vapor here, you can see this sort of wetter air down here getting a little bit moved out, pushed out by this drier air. Really sort of change things up for you guys from what you're seeing right now, sort of wet and moist conditions going toward dry conditions. And that's sort of going to make a little bit of a season change for you guys here. You can see 30s and 40s across most of the Northeast, getting towards 20s, however, as we're looking towards the temperatures going towards Sunday. So again, we're seeing a little bit of winter, even though as we're going towards spring. Tonight's low is going to be very cold for you guys up towards Burlington and Caribou in the teens, but 20s for most of the rest of you guys there. And tomorrow's highs are going to be nice in the 30s. So again, pretty nice comparable to the rest of you guys in the Northeast. But now I'm going to pass things out to Riley to look at one last conditions for our local.
Well, that's definitely not spring weather there in the Northeast, but we're holding on to winter for a couple days. Somewhere we're not feeling like winter right now here in Tallahassee. 77 degrees and sunny. Conditions really dried out after we saw that cold front move through. And earlier this morning, we were a little warmer. Then we got those storms and the cold front to cool conditions down around 11 to noon. And then the sun came out. And then we really started seeing conditions warm up into the lower 80s. But this is going to be one of our last 80-degree days for at least a couple days here, because looking at our low tonight, 46 degrees, very dry. It will be not much humidity to retain the heat that we did see earlier today. And into the day tomorrow, because that cold front moved through, we're going to have more northerly air moving into the area, keeping high temperatures only in around the mid-60s for pretty much the entirety of the region. And this is going to lead into the week ahead being a little chilly for this upcoming weekend, only getting into the 60s, upper 40s at night as we head throughout the weekend before we do start to warm up there for our day on Monday. And there come the 80s again as we head into our Thursday next week. So we have a very warm week ahead tomorrow. If you can just get through this weekend, we'll be feeling like a Florida spring in no time. So I'm going to send it off to the desk with Chandler and Hayden. And how about that 5-day forecast? We're dry and conditions will start to warm up as we head towards the end of that one.
That's right. We need some welcome relief because this has been one heck of a journey the last couple of days.
Yeah, severe weather, multiple tornadoes in Alabama, some tornadoes today in the Carolinas. Definitely, but we're getting a nice relief. Tallahassee's going to be dropping down to the 60s, and I think that's your favorite weather.
That is exactly it. Once we see these temperatures, they're nice and dry, and also we have some cooler temperatures. We'll get a little taste of that more so earlier spring pattern that we had. However, we will warm right back up.
Yeah, from Tuesday to Thursday, highs are in the upper 70s, 80s, and even bring some rain chances back. So maybe some of the next system, keep an eye out. But anyways, follow us on Twitter at FSU Weather.
And like us on Facebook at the same address /FSU Weather.
Always at the same address, youtube.com. You can watch us live. You should be now.
And also follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather. We love to see your guys' photos, and we love to use them for our show.
Yeah, even send a picture of your dog. We prefer the weather, but we also like pets. So just keep active in our show. We're doing our best to present for you, and I hope you guys really like it. I'm Student Meteorologist Hayden Wilder.
And this has been FSU Weather.